Capability, data caching at Sitecore Experience, and how to use the Sitecore graphical queries. And my introduction is already provided by the Rohan. So I will be moving to the introduction. So you guys can stop me in between if you are having any question, or you can ping the queries in the chat, and I will look into that when we will reach to the end of this session in the Q&A section. So about this session, that as I already explained, that I will be explaining about a Sitecore Experience Edge, and I will try to explain with the help of a simple diagrams so that you guys will be able to know what are the terms and how the data will be reaching to the Experience Edge. And now moving to the first section is that what is Sitecore Experience Edge. So all we know that nowadays everyone is talking about a Jamstack, headless CMS, and also many organizations is doing the digital transformation. And in those cases, they try to reduce the cost of their infrastructure. That is the first thing, and then also they don't have any dependency on any vendor. So they don't want to go with the monolithic application where everything is will be tightly coupled. So they are trying to use or build application with the different products which are available in the market, and they are fulfilling their needs, and they don't want a dependency on only one vendor. Why? Because if you are going with the one vendor, sometimes it's very good because you do not need to do a more effort on the vendor management. But sometimes if you are rigid to a one vendor, then there will be a more dependency on vendor, and you need to rely on what they are telling. So nowadays, people are just not going with the full-fledged application development. They are starting with the small, and on the basis of a need, they are moving to the big bang implementation. So in those cases, people are starting with the composable. Composable means that you are selecting or picking up a product which are fulfilling your need, and you are building your whole application by combining those. So those terms generally we are using in our digital experience platform while we are building. So that's why we are calling it as a composable digital experience platform. So Sitecore is also in the past has acquired a many organization and build up a many composable products which are fulfilling the your needs of your application or your business requirement. Like if you are going with the commerce, then you can utilize the Sitecore Order Cloud. And if you are going to implement a product or something, then you can utilize the Sitecore Discover. It is generally a search engine for a commerce implementation. It will give you the how to search the products catalog, and also it is a AI based tool, and it is giving you the recommendation. And for the content management and operation, like a simple building a website, you can utilize the content hub and the content hub one also, and it can be utilized as a CD DAM platform where you can store a large amount of data like media assets. And also you are having a custom data management like a Sitecore CDP, which generally you can use to store a user data if you are going to catch or store a user footprint on your website. And the same way we are having a Sitecore search and marketing operation. So these are the product inventory from the Sitecore which you can utilize to build your digital experience platform. So you do not need to go with complete Sitecore XP in the traditional way. You can start with the minimal like a content of one or XM, and then you can move to the by combining all these products, you can move to the bigger application. So coming in that manner, these are the simple diagram which is written by Jason. So it is explaining that how the composable DXP is helping you to build a full-fledged application. So here you are seeing that you are having XM Cloud, Lies, and the Edge, and you are also using the DAM and the other marketing steps to build up your application, and at the end you are getting a product which are combination of many individual products. So you are not relying on the one product, and all these are based on the API based integration. So you do not need to do any installation or anything in your server. You can just consume via API. And in coming to a that fashion, this Sitecore Experience Edge, right? It's a SaaS based product, like you do not need to do any installation, and it is a globally scalable SaaS API. As I said, that most of the product SaaS based products are the API based. It's also a API based service which is provided by the Sitecore. So you just need to buy a subscription as per your need, and you can start utilizing that. So the one main benefit of this is that you do not need to publish the data into your content delivery environment. So in this type of implementation, you generally go with the XM1 topology or XM topology or XM cloud, where you will be not having a content delivery environment, or you are not publishing the content into content delivery environment or a box. Instead of that, with the help of a connector, you are publishing it data directly to the this scalable environment called a Sitecore Experience Edge. And this is completely managed by the Sitecore. And also it's a highly scalable content delivery platform because it is globally distributed. You do not need to take care of a infrastructure management where you generally needs to have a data redundancy, or you need to implement a auto scalings. Everything will be taken care by the Sitecore. You just need to buy a subscription and you need to use that. So this is a simple high level diagram which will try to explain how the Sitecore Experience Edge is working and how you can use that. So currently Sitecore Content Hub 1, Content Hub, XM Cloud, Experience Manager, these you can use, these products can be using the Sitecore Experience Edge. So what generally happen that you will do the content authoring in Sitecore CMS. So CM roles will be there where you will be doing the content authoring like normal. All template creation will be happening at a content management. So while publishing the content, you will be not publishing to the content delivery. So content delivery is a role where you will be publishing a data which is approved and ready to available for the end user. So instead of doing that, you will be having a connector in place. You need to install into your CM, right? And with the help of that, you will be publishing the content items, layout, snapshot, and media item, right? It means that all data which is required by your pages to render in the form of a JSON will be published to the Sitecore Experience Edge. So Sitecore Experience Edge is also having the different delivery regions. So in this, it will be deployed, and on top of that, there is a GraphQL server is there, because if you need to use the Sitecore Experience Edge, then all the data of Sitecore Experience Edge is coming to you via a GraphQL Edge GraphQL API endpoint. So in this case, GraphQL server will be installed in a SaaS, which is managed by the Sitecore, and with the help of a CDN, the data will be delivered to you in the form of a GraphQL API endpoint. And also, all the item and the layout data will be there. So nothing else will be there. Like you cannot think of deploying a any C sharp file or a .NET assembly. Nothing will be there. It's just a API endpoints, and you will be consuming a data and getting a data in the form of a JSON. And after that, using the Experience Edge GraphQL 8 endpoints, you can consume a data in any of the channel which you are going to implement it. Any question till this point? Silence to sorry. Yeah.
Amit, so basically, if I'll compare this flow chart with
Hmm.
the normal Sitecore architecture
Hmm.
like CMCD delivery. The only
Yes.
difference is that CD is being replaced with this Experience Edge,
Experience Edge.
and
Yes.
and now our front end application is, instead of directly communicating to CD, it's communicating with Experience Edge, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of development, would there be any like changes with the normal
So no,
setup?
with the so what will happen that with the Sitecore experience, as I said that it's a GraphQL API endpoint, right? So you will be not able to use with the ASP.NET MVC. If you wanted to use that, you need to use the API, right? Because you will be
Okay.
not deploying a data to the CD, so
Mhm.
your routes and everything will not work, correct? So in those
Yes, yes.
cases, this implementation consumption of this generally will work with the headless application like Next.js, or you are developing a mobile, or if you are developing a website also in MVC, so you need
Yes.
to prepare your own routing system in terms of that,
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
because it's mainly for the headless content delivery, right? It's a content as a service, right? So you are not deploying your application within a server, so everything you need to take care. .NET development you can use in the .NET. It's up to you, right? If you are the .NET Core developer, then you can utilize the .NET Core SDK, or you can implement your own framework. It's not like that you cannot use in the .NET development. You can use it, but it's required a more effort to implement it. So as I said that, yes. Shall I proceed or?
One last question. So,
Yeah.
so instead of pushing the DLLs to the CD servers, now we are generating API endpoints from CM, and that API endpoints is used by Experience Edge. So that can we understand from this?
See, first of all, you are not publishing any assemblies. It's a pure content. You cannot deploy your code in this box. It's just a content only, right? So you receive the API endpoint and you need to consume that. How you will consume that? Either you will build up a plain vanilla HTML application, .NET application, or Sitecore is providing a client-side scripting framework like a Next.js SDK or .NET Rendering SDK. You can use that also to implement that. You cannot deploy your code here or anything, and how you are traditionally using the ASP.NET MVC application. You cannot develop that by deploying into Sitecore Experience Edge, because you cannot deploy any binaries or your custom implementation, because it's a content delivery only, nothing to do with how your application or a business functionality will be built up or served to the end user. Make sense?
Yes, yes. Okay.
But don't confuse that. uh, It's a CD. It's not CD. It's just a content as a service, plain vanilla GraphQL Edge API endpoint. That's it. So now you are have the data via API. Now you need to implement your head. Head is means that how the presentation will be looks like. So you can have a different media channel, like you can have a IoT devices or anything like mobile application also, and a smartwatch application. So you will be using your framework, technology framework like a .NET or anything, right? So just take a data and render it in your front end application. So it's up to you how you are going to implement that. So traditional MVC, suppose you are having a generally earlier what happened that Sitecore will be taking care of all your writing, like you are having a mapping of your website, right, with the help of a sites, right, where you will be giving the starting item, correct, and
Yes.
with the help
Yes.
of that you will be traversing the website, and Sitecore automatically dynamically taking a home node about us, and it was mapping with the your content tree, right. Now you are out of the content tree and the CD, and now if you need to implement that, you should have some sort of a JSON file or any configuration file or any set of routing. Like if you will build up a normal ASP.NET MVP, MVC application, you are having the routing, right? you will be defining in the config.cs file, right? So same way, you need to define a links in your website which will be going to a your code base in your router, and then you need to make a call to the Sitecore Experience Edge, and you can get a data and you can render complete page. Okay, so that type of mechanism you need to write it if you are going with the plain vanilla ASP.NET MVC.
Okay, so it's another headless architecture.
This is not a headless, it is providing you with data only. So you can consume, for example, let's say, forget about this Experience Edge. If you are using a any third party API, right? Like let me give you the example, like a weather.com, right? It is also providing you a weather information for any country or any region, right? So what you are doing it, you are just passing a uh, country ID and the state code, right, to get the data, correct? So same way
Yes,
you need
yes.
to consider this a API only. You are passing your key and which item you need to get, you will be passing a item ID or a route of that, it will give you a data. Now what will you do with that data? You can, this will give you the name of the component and the data source. Now you are having
Oh,
a data source of a, suppose for example, a hero banner, right? Images. You will use that and render it with the help of HTML. That's it. It's part of a headless architecture as a one component.
okay, okay. Got it, got it.
As I already explained that with this diagram that it is a CDN enable, so the content delivery will be faster and you are saving the cost in terms of a CD boxes. So you do not need to take care of a scalability. So it's you can just treat it as a content as a service. So benefit, as I was explaining that you are the Jamstack ready, you can consume in your headless architecture. It will be high performance and a global reach because it will be delivering you via a CDNs. High scalable and reliability will be there because it is a CDN enable and the content will be served from the nearest data center. So it will be highly scalable if any load or anything will be there. So you do not need to do anything. It will be auto scaling. Faster speed because it's a CDN served data. Reliability will increase because you are not having a one node, you will be having a multiple nodes. And other thing is that you will be getting a GraphQL content API. So you are not sending a heavy data, you are sending a data which is required by your application to render the page. Caching will be enabled of your layout service snapshot and the media item. And one important thing is that there is no dynamic thing like, so it's a static data like you are deploying your images and any data to CDN, right? Same way it's a static data. So there will be no personalization. So if you are applying a personalization with the help of a XM or XP in the CM, and you will think that it will be coming to your Sitecore Experience Edge. So it will not work. So you need to do some other mechanism to implement this, and data will be served via CDN. And you can use the content of one experience manager, content of one. Those product you can use to utilize the experience edge. Flexibility of your tech stack, right? You can use any tech stack to build your head application, and support of a static site generation will be there because if you will combine this with the Sitecore GSS SDK, you can build up a static site generation website and you can deploy it to a Vercel or a Azure static web app for a faster content delivery or a application delivery. And you will be a Jamstack ready. Jamstack ready means that you are having a content, now you can implement a head and then you can utilize any of the API in your head application. Any question in terms of benefits? Okay, I will be moving to the next slide. So we talked about a benefits, right? Now it's better to understand the limitation. Why? Because if you are using any new product or you are going to propose, so you should be aware about a benefits as well as the limitation. So as I said that it will not support the personalization. That is the first things you need to consider while you are proposing this product. So there's alternates are there like you can utilize the Sitecore CDP and personalize. So you need to buy a subscription or a license for those products also. And the schema cannot be extended. It means that you cannot add or delete a fields. You will be having your custom template and you need to utilize that. And also the standard values will be not coming to you like a updated date or those things will be not there. So if you want to utilize those things, you need to write some sort of logic in your CM so that you will either at the time of saving you will replicate or a copy the same data or you will manually enter in your template field. Yes, correct. So it's a, as I said that it's a content as a delivery. So instead of getting a data from a CD, you will be getting a data from the Sitecore Experience Edge. And you cannot enforce any security constraint. For example, if in earlier in traditional MVC, you can have a role-based access, right, in the your head application in the form of MVC. You can log in user and you can create a virtual user, right? And then you can check that virtual user or you can log in with the help of a user credential into a application and you can see that if user is having access to that content tree item and then you need to show hide the things. So those security constant will not work here because it's a static data. So it will be not knowing is who is accessing the data. And the maximum size of a media item is 50 MB. So you need to also think about that. And there will be no solar indexes or anything will be there, right? So you need to utilize the, if you are using the experience edge, either you need to utilize the experience edge to implement the search or you need to rely on a third party service provider. So while you are publishing the content to experiences, you need to publish the data via your own custom mechanism to the third party service provider, Solar, Search Stack, or Sitecore Search. Or you need to implement some sort of a crawling with the Covey or a Sitecore Search. And you will be not getting a web database, so you can't do any manipulation on web database if you are doing it earlier. And also one more important thing is that there is a limitation of a 80 API call per second. So if you are getting a dynamic data or a calls which are different for every data you are consuming it from the experience edge, so you need to implement some sort of a logic which will check that what is the current limit of a your Sitecore Experience Edge calls, and then I will take this question at the end. Sorry. So in the edge calls, what happened that when you are making a call, so if you will see in this application screenshot, so there is a CF cache status is there. So meaning of that, it will tell you that you are directly fetching the data from a cache or you are getting a data from the dynamic one, directly data from. And below that you are seeing that X rate limit remaining, right? 79. So 80 calls per second is this. If you are trying to get a data which is not cached, then this will be decreased by 1. So dynamic means that it's served from the not served from the cache. So next time if you will hit the same page, then it will be served from the cache. So it will say a hit. So you are seeing that it will be not decreasing the limiting. And also CF means that Cloudflare. So all the calls which are going to the Sitecore Experience Edge, it is going via this API management of a Cloudflare. So it will be taking care of your caching, throttling, and everything. So all the limit will be checked there. So this is a very important things you need to take care while implementing a application where you are having a large amount of a different requests are coming to your application. So you need to write some sort of a logic in your front end application to take care of. You need to serve the cache content, or you need to show some message, or and anything you need to do some sort of a logic in your middleware in your front end application. And also if you are getting any data in terms of a media items, that is also using the same behavior like a miss, or it will show a hit. So it's like that. It will also utilize your experience edge limit. And also,
Amit, what is this hit and miss? Can you explain again, please?
yes, so miss is that if you are trying to make any media request, or you are trying to get a data which is stored in the edge, right? So as I said that it is also providing the caching, correct? So now if you are taking the data from experience edge for a first time, the data which is not cached, then the request will go to experience edge to get a fresh data first time, right? In that case, the limit of a per second will be hit, right? So if you are getting the data directly from the experience edge, then it will show a miss. Miss means that you are not getting a cache data by saying CF cache data, right? So you are not getting the data from a cache. You are directly getting a data from a uh, experience edge, right? Next time, if you will try to access the same media file, right, then it will be hit. It means you are getting a data from a cache. You are not hitting the
Okay, okay,
experience edge to get a data.
sure.
Okay. Wait. And when you are moving to the XM cloud, right? So most of the application nowadays are building up in XM cloud. So in those cases, sometimes you are having some sort of a logic, or some people are storing the user generated data also into the Sitecore, correct? Or you are having some sort of a batch job or a downstream system which are giving a data to you. For example, in your application, if you are getting a some sort of a alert codes, or some sort of a country codes, or some sort of a dealer details from a third party system, for example, right? And you are using storing that in terms of a batch item in the Sitecore, right? In a specific content, or you are getting an article also, right? So people are, earlier we used to write a Sitecore job in the uh, Sitecore, right? Or any installation we are doing some sort of a batch job which will be pushing a data to Sitecore. So in those cases, here you will be utilizing, for example, it is also providing you the authoring API also, where you can store the data into your CM itself. So in those cases also, if you are using this Sitecore Experience Edge API, you are also consuming your 1 second limit. So you do not open a multiple thread within a in your job or whatever you are writing, so that you will reach that 1 second limit. So there also this limit will be considered. So you need to take care of those things also, right? But if you are previewing the data with the help of a Sitecore Experience Edge, and in your CMS, right? Like Experience Editor, you are checking the data, previewing the data. So in those cases, you are not hitting the limit of your Sitecore Experience Edge. So these things you need to take care while you are using Sitecore Experience Edge API and sending a data to the CMS via any job or anything. So coming to the availability, so as I earlier explained that you can utilize these products to consume the Sitecore Experience Edge, and also if you are on the XP also, right, and you want to go to the Experience Edge, right, so you can buy a subscription from the Sitecore, and you can use the Sitecore Experience Edge also. So it's not like that you need to buy XM Cloud or something. Sitecore is also providing a separate offering with the Experience Edge also. So it's up to you how you need to use that. People are using with the normal Sitecore XM and XP also, the Experience Edge, for a faster content delivery. So now moving to that, what type of, wait a minute. So types of Sitecore Experience Edge APIs. So Sitecore Experience Edge is a GraphQL hosted API endpoints. It's providing you with two types of API endpoint. One is the preview API, which is generally utilized by your CM role. And while you are doing the development, you will be using this preview API to validate your graphical queries. I will show you. And the other is the delivery API. Delivery API means that the content which is published and stored at a Experience Edge SaaS product. So it's a cloud-based delivery API. So I was talking about a GraphQL here, right? So what happened that if you have used the Sitecore 9, right? So from Sitecore 9 onwards, Sitecore was providing the GraphQL endpoints. So and from there itself, they started the headless and they were giving the Sitecore JSS SDK, which was utilizing these GraphQL endpoints. So while you are using the Sitecore Experience Edge and Sitecore 10 and onwards, the default GraphQL endpoints is a GraphQL Edge endpoint. It's not a traditional GraphQL endpoints. Why I am explaining these things? If you are planning to move to the XM cloud, right? And if you are using the GraphQL, so the queries which you have used in the traditional GraphQL, those is not going to work in the Edge GraphQL because both are having the different schema. So you need to rewrite your queries again and you need to validate that. So that is a one point also you need to consider while you are moving your traditional Sitecore 9 JSS application which is utilizing the GraphQL to the Edge GraphQL consumption. And Sitecore 10 onwards by default Edge GraphQL endpoint is enabled. And if you want to enable the traditional GraphQL endpoint, that also you can enable it. So both are available. So that you need to take care. And in this diagram, right, I am just simply trying to explain you that how you can utilize or your system or a Sitecore CMS is utilizing the Edge GraphQL endpoint. So if you are doing the local development or if you are trying to see your application, right? So in those cases, what happened that your content management will be utilizing the preview GraphQL endpoint. Those are configured and you can see the your front-end application, how it will looks like while consuming a data from a content management. So in those cases, the data will be served from your master DB via a GraphQL server installed on your CM role. So if you will remember or worked on the Sitecore 9, so while you are installing the Sitecore CMS in your system, so GraphQL server also installed in your Sitecore CM box. With the help of that only, Sitecore have customized that and you will be getting a data. Same way, it will be installed on your CM and you will be using the HGraphQL endpoints in the form of a preview and you will be getting a data. But while you are moving to the dev integration or UAT environment, you will be having a different sandboxes and within that you will be having a different environments with respect to your environment, right? And you will be using that as a in your front end application to preview the data or if you are having a preview environment separately and you wanted to see that before moving to the production and if you are having a preview environment like a pre-production, so in those cases you will be not using the Edge GraphQL directly, you will be using the preview endpoint and will be sharing with the content authoring team or a business user to get a sign off. So in those cases also you will be not directly hitting the experience edge, you will be using the preview endpoint, but in the other environment like a production, so you will be using the experience edge. And this is the Sitecore Experience Edge Delivery API. So as I was explaining in previous diagram itself, so you will be curating your content in the content management. You will be publishing it via a Experience Edge connector, then it will be pushed to the Experience Edge, and then with the help of a layout service snapshot, and that is we serve you with the help of a GraphQL endpoint, you will be consuming that in your website. So this is a published data similar to the CD, which is available for consumption for your website. And data caching at a Sitecore Experience Edge. So as I said that in my first diagram, high level, right? So it is a global content delivery, right? And CDN is there, right? So what happened that all the caching will be happening at a CDN side, and if you are moving to a static site generation, then you can deploy your website also to the Vercel or Azure Static Web App. So Vercel is also providing you a caching, right? So your site will be globally distributed in the form of a static pages, right? And a static content, and you can combine with that with the Sitecore Experience Edge in the form of a composable offering or a composable product, and you can build up your website. So like if you are having experience in the XM Cloud and or right, go through the article, so you will see that they are utilizing the this implementation only like Experience Edge and a Vercel to build up a your XM Cloud application. Why? Because it's a faster time to market and your content delivery will be fast, and you do not need to take care of your deployment hosting. So everything will be taken care by the Vercel itself. Any question till this point? I saw that there is some question at in the chat. Yes, so I think the last question I need to take it. Yes, so I will be taking from a Rupal. I think it's mentioned that it's acting as an endpoint for data coming from a Sitecore instance. Yes, it's correct. And if you want to apply custom logic and other activity, then it should be at front-end side. Yes, correct. Search and filtering is not there in the Edge GraphQL. So you are having a search is there. So you can implement a simple search. So I will be showing you how to write a search query, and you can build up a application such like you are having a keywords, you can add a where clause, and with the help of some logic, you can implement a filtering also if you would like to implement that.
Yeah, but it happens in traditional endpoints, not in edge endpoints. I tried it. Is
No,
it
in that
possible
point,
in
yes, you can implement a not facets. I'm not talking about a facet. What I'm trying to say that a filtering. Suppose if you are having a 10 products like a mobile products or a electronic goods, right? And you are having that data as a form of a fields in your uh, page templates or any content item, correct? And you can create a static filter in form of a drop down list. So while searching, if user is selecting that, you can say that a type, right? So those are types are nothing but your template ID. So if you have hard coded that, then you can pass that data to your search query, and you can add a where clause where templates in this, right? So that type of a simple one, not a faceted one which you will be getting in a traditional one.
Okay, okay. Because I
Yeah.
tried it was not happening in content, sorry, Edge
GraphQL.
GraphQL.
No. So there, that's why I'm telling there is a way if you wanted to implement that, you can implement that, but you need to do some hard because you are not going to change the template, right? So you can hard code that and you can build up a facets like that only, correct? If you
Okay.
want to build that.
So using content search, we can do that, not through the GraphQL.
No, in the simple GraphQL, you will be just having a where clauses and you can pass those to build up. Like as I said that you will be creating a facets manually and a hard coded, and you will be pass a template ID or a any path you need to pass to your query, right? That you can pass it.
Okay, okay. I will see
If
your
you
example with the Edge GraphQL, so I will
yeah,
surely
yeah.
see that.
Okay. So now moving to that. Yeah, so now I will be explaining how to use the GraphQL Edge queries. So you can, if you are on the CM, right, CM role, you will be having a Edge GraphQL preview ID, integrated development environment, where you can preview the queries before uh, publishing it. And then you are having a delivery ID also, where you can uh, also you can bypassing the your API key, you can also validate your queries there also. So now quickly I will be moving to the this demo. So what I am doing here is that I am using the this site this Sitecore demo portal application. So in this I am having this one simple Sitecore 10 JSS application which is having a session and other thing. So let me show you the application. So it's a play submit demo. It's having a session details, right? So each session is having a name of a speaker and it is giving a location also. So I will try to map this with the content tree. So this session is there, list of session, and each session is having a some sort of a data, room details, speakers details, and also the day. So if I will go to the speakers, in the speakers, their vendors are there, sessions are there. So all are interrelated content is there. So now how you will be checking that in a preview. So if you will go to the preview, there is a this preview endpoint is there. So as I was explaining, so your CMS name, then Sitecore API, GraphQL, Edge. So if you will use the traditional one, then the Edge will be not there, right? So that also you can verify it. And this will be the URL. And here you need to mention the normal till Edge. You need to mention the API endpoint. So to use this preview GraphQL Edge endpoint, what the benefit is that if you are trying to build up any application and you wanted to think that you need to utilize the GraphQL query, so you can come here and you can verify that. How you will verify that? You need to mention the HTTP headers. So here you need to pass the API key. So this API key you can get it from this system settings services as API key. This is the ID of this item. So while you are using the GraphQL Edge delivery API, so you will be getting a one key which you need to pass it here. And this is the query variable. If you need to pass any sort of a parameters to your queries like dynamically, right? Then you need to mention those parameter here. So in this query, simply what I am trying to do that I am passing that I need to get a data from this location. So I will be passing this as a context item. And then I will be passing to this to the item query. Item, you can say that a attribute or a filter. And then I am passing to that a which from which path I need to get a data and what is the language of that I need to get a data, and I am trying to get a ID and the name. So then I am simply getting a this data. So here what I am trying to showcase that if you will write a colon and the this, so you are just giving the alias to your result item like this. If I will remove this, then it will be just a item only. So this type of aliasing you can do in most of the places in the GraphQL query. So I am having a list of the queries. So let me showcase you one by one how you can utilize that. So here I am also trying to give the alias to the ID. So why I am showcasing you that this aliasing, because sometimes you are having a front end team, right? They have already built up a component where they have give the aliases instead of a ID. They have given the item ID. Why? Because maybe they are populating the object there. They are already having a ID, right? They cannot use the same attribute in 10 places in a one component. So then maybe they will come to you. Can you please change the field name? So you will be not going physically and changing the ID, right? And you cannot do changes to this out of the box field. So then you can give the alias to this, right? So with that way, you can give any user friendly name and do the aliasing. And while you are building the application, right, you will be not knowing that what type of data and what would be the field names. So with the help of this query, you can get a okay, I need to pass a language also. So they will give most of the time user friendly errors. So I was not passing the language context parameter. So here it's just giving the fields and the name. Okay, let me pass the different context. So I will go there and I will select a path of this. This is having a large amount of data. So here what if you will see that it is giving you all the fields which you are having in your item. So why I am showing this thing is that so if you are building an application, you will be not knowing it what is the actual name of your field. So with the help of that, you can share the JSON snapshot with your team, or you can tell that which are the fields you need to use that. So what happened that when you are having a same field name in more than one project, one more than one template, then automatically GraphQL will add some numbers into your fields names or a template name. So sometimes you are having a more than one template which is having a same name, right? In your content tray. For example, you have created a one template called a page details under the ABC folder or a feature. And in another case also you are having the same. So you are having the two template or a two entities with the same name. So in those cases, GraphQL will add some number into that. So in those cases, the number will be changed what you have basically written in the your CMS. So in those cases, these queries will be useful. So you can get all the data. And sometimes you need to implement a listing of your component, right? So generally in our traditional MVC, we will be getting a get children's and we will be sending that data to the front end. So in the GraphQL, this is not having a children. So let's use the speaker at once. So you can get a children's of that with the help of this, and you can pass that to your front end component if you need to implement a listing type of things in your component. So you do not need to write any custom code. You can just utilize these queries to get a data also. So it is providing you a children. So you know that if children is there, you just need to pass a parent field item and it is having a children attribute, and within that, so wherever you are getting a more than one result, automatically it will be a type of a result, item search result. And then you need to parse the data with the help of your these fields, or you can do a typecasting with the help of typed template name. So I will show you that also. So this I was just showing you a children. Okay, now this. So I was telling you that if you are having a more than one result, right? And it is give you a just a default. So now what is why GraphQL is called a type safe? Because you can get a data on the basis of a template fields. So it's a typecasting is happening or a type safe is you are not returning a data which is not part of your template. So you can use the on attribute and then you can mention the name of a your template and then you can get a data from all the fields which are present in your template. So with the help of that you can get a required data. So you do not need to send all the data. You can restrict the number of fields also from this. And one other thing is the show you the multi listings. That is also very important. So in a normal MVC also, right? If you are having a multi-list fields, you are using it, right? Or if you have used a search also, so the multi-list will be storing the GUID only, right? And if you want to get the data of these items, then you need to individually generally pass a get items by get item by passing these things and you need to loop through. But in the GraphQL, you do not need to write any code. What you can do that there is a target items attribute is there, so which you can utilize to get a data. So what is the meaning of a target item? In the sessions, you are having a list of the sessions. So you are targeting those individual items, and I have used the typecasting of a that result in a form of a session, right? Type safe, and I am getting the session details. So with the help of that, within a single query, you can get all the data from a multi-list item fields also. And there is a one more thing I would like to explain is that this fragmentation. Right? So fragmentation is a very good thing in terms of doing the management or a reusability. So in earlier you saw that I was using the session and I wrote the code to get a data here. So what I did that I have moved that piece of a query into a separate function like a fragment, and from session also I am trying to get a details of a room. So it's up to you how much level of data you wanted. You can define with the help of a fragment and you can decrease the length of your query, right? And you can utilize the fragmentation to give a modular way to your queries also. So by seeing the time, I will be just moving to the search query. So this is a search query. So what I have built up a search query, I am passing the page size because I need to implement a pagination. Language I am passing from where the content needs to be searched, order by fields, order direction like ascending, descending, search keywords, which user is typing on the text box, and the value after. This I will tell you how to use that. So in this case, you will be opening a where clause. So if you will see that additional one, both are having a different syntax. So here I am passing that I need to get a data only from a path which is having a path which I am passing. So here I am passing a root path of a some content item like a home node. And I don't want a data which contains a this item. So n contain means that not in, right? And I don't want it items which build up with the template. So whatever the items you wanted to exclude, right? You can mention in the form of a this n contained item. And I wanted a this specific language data and all the keywords which and the keywords which you wanted to search in n number of fields irrespective of your template name. So you do not need to mention any in traditional what we generally used to do that we will be creating a item and then we will be giving a name and we are getting a data. But here what we can do that you can just give the name of a exact field name which you get from one of the graphical query and you can just mention a contains. It's a contain clause of a SQL, right? And like that you can mention n number of fields. Suppose you are having a article, you are having a blog and you are having the news article. So in news article, you need to search in the news title and you need to search in the description and you will be having an article description. Maybe all are not having the same name. So you can mention all the fields here. So while returning the record, it will not give you the exception also because if it is finding a article item, it will return the article item. So you will be not getting any exception or anything. And this is the page size, means how many number of records you required in your result. And this is the after. I will tell you how to use that. And this is the order by. And here I am typecasting on the basis of a speaker. So here you will see that I have passed the value after as a empty because user is searching for the first time. So in that case, if I am running the query, so I am getting a total number of record is 19, right? And if you are seeing this end cursor and a has next, right? So it's a false. Why? Because I pass the page size as a 30 and total record is 19. So I do not have any page which will return me the data. So let's make it as a 10. And if you will search the query, then you are getting a total number of record is 19 and you are having the end cursor. So I need to use this end cursor while making a second call. So what it will give? It will give you the rest of the 9 records. So now if you will see that has next become a false. This means that there is no record. So with the help of this total number of records and your page size, you can build up you can come up with the number of pages and you can, with the help of this has next and this, you can enable, disable the click of a next button also. So now if I will take again this end cursor and pass to the value after, so I will get a empty record because there is no record. We are already in the second page. So with the help of that, you can implement the search also in your application, like a simple search which I was explaining. With this query, right? I have explained that how to use the GraphQL queries, and you can see that I will ping also. So there are two type of GraphQL queries are there. So this is the traditional GraphQL queries, right? And this is the experience edge. So if you will see this queries, right, at a later stage while you are learning or something, so you will be able to find that both are having a different schema. And I also publish all the queries which is useful and day to day. You, if you will check these blogs, you will be able to find that. So you can start learning or going through these GraphQL query and you can feel free to connect with me if you are having any queries or anything. So with this, I am done with this session and I am open for the queries if any from anyone. Am I audible?
Yeah. Yes, Amit. Yes, I can't see anything in the chat. Any new questions?
Amit, can you explain that fragmentation query once? I didn't get that actually.
Hello? Yeah, tell me. What was the
I was,
question?
I was saying that that fragmentation query
Yes,
you
yes, yes.
talked about, right? Can you
Yes.
explain that again? What it does?
Okay. So fragmentation meaning is that, let me show you. So fragmentation useful is that suppose if you are writing a long query like this, wait a minute, like fragmentation. Yes, suppose if you are writing a large query is this, right? So I was showing that I am having a session, right? Session is a multi-list, right? So I need to get
Yes.
a data of a session. Session is also having the room, which is also a multi-list,
Yeah.
right? So if you will go to the content tree, so, so in the speaker I was having the session, correct? Yes, session, right? And in session, if I will go, session is having a room, right? So I need to display detail in my page. This speaker is giving a this session at a this room, right? So I am trying to get a data from a two different places, right? With a multi-list. So in those cases, I need to write another logic within this in a curly braces, right? So what will happen that this query become a big, right? So in those cases, what I can do that I can create a fragmentation, right? This fragmentation, I can create it and I can move my query into this. So it looks good also, and I can reuse that also. Now in the same this query, I need to get a reuse this session in some other form, right? And to get a data from a any other items which is you having the session, right? Because in a graphical you can get a data from a multiple places in a single call itself. Okay, so in that case also, wherever this sessions is there, I am seeing in a form of a multi-list, right? So I can go ahead and I can utilize this fragmentation, right, as is, and I do not need to again write a code to get a data. So I can use it as a reusable function itself. That is the main purpose of a fragmentation.
Okay. It's just like a method within
Yes,
like we
yes, yes,
create a
yes, yes.
method, right?
You,
So it's just a
yes, yes, yes.
modular approaches within the query. Okay.
Modular approach, and it is reusable. Like session is there, it is a target which I already mentioned, and it will give me the data.
Okay. Okay. Understood. Thank you.
So Amit, so in your blog post, search query is there as an example. So
Hmm.
I will be trying to implement that. So I will, if any question, I will sure reach to you.
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. And see what happened that the creating of a search query is a very different thing in the GraphQL. So sometimes you will see that if you will add any extra parameter to it, you will be not seeing the data, right? So you need to add your where clause or any fields in a order or a something. So it's a hit and try things, right? So you cannot go and straight away whatever is written in the documentation, you cannot build a query. So what I saw that I was adding a or moving a this fields here and there, right? And my results was getting impacted, right? So then I
Okay.
tried many times and with the manually verified the number of items with the help of a search query, what items are there. Then I make sure that whatever I have written is correct. So you also needs to do this type of validation.
Okay, okay. So one question arises that if I try to
Mm.
copy this query in the rendering, so anything we need to pass search query can be passed to the renderings?
See
Because
what happened
sometimes
that no, this is not, but for this if you are implementing a search page, right? So you will be not having this query in your rendering item, right? You need to write this query in your Next.js, your search component. Why? Because
yeah.
you will be passing a static data to the such component like a such text or a placeholder or anything, right? Now,
Okay, okay,
when user is hitting on that, you will be getting a keyword and whatever the pagination also you can get from the search site core as a template parameter. They can make it dynamic, correct? So
okay.
those things will be passed and you are building a query in your Next.js component and you are passing because you need to implement a pagination. So it cannot be
Yes, yes,
one-time query. So you will be
yes,
writing in a Next.js component. This thing.
yes. So then we have to create an Axios for calling the GraphQL
Yes,
and
yes. GraphQL
and
query,
then
and then you need to write a separate component modular way to come up with the number of pages also, right? One, two, three, or something like that. So all manipulation you will be doing in a different component. You will be passing a data via main search component to your pagination component. So all will be
oh,
tightly connected together.
so I'm using an XJS application. Then in that part, if that layout service call is for the one time only, so the GraphQL call we have to create a new call.
Yes, 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 yes. Because you will be not refreshing your page, correct? You are
Yes,
not changing
that's the
your routing. So you need to use this Axios to make a call. You need to use a use effect or a click event, right? You will
yes,
be making again call to this. And because you need to maintain the number of initial pages also, right? So all
yes,
logic
correct.
you need to implement because you are not changing the user state. User state is same.
Okay. So if based on the different environment, we have to change the just host name and the GraphQL H query will be the same for the Axios, and that's
Uh,
in that data can be. Okay, okay,
you
got
do
it.
not need to do the code changes. You are just moving the environment, right? So content
Yes.
will be moving. You do not need to do any changes because you are not using the straight away these things, right? So Edge GraphQL and those endpoints will be changing in your code base only, right? Configuration one time wherever you are moving. So you are not changing anything in your code base, just a configuration.
Okay, okay. Only the host names is to be changed.
Yes.